The sky above Seoul turned silver on a Tuesday morning. Park Do-hyun was drinking his second cup of coffee when his phone rang. Within 30 minutes, he was in a military helicopter flying toward the emergency command center. Through the window, he could see it clearly. A ship made of crystal and light, bigger than anything humans had ever built, floating above the city like a silent god. 12 ships had appeared across the world. New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, Tokyo, Cairo, and 6 other major cities. They came without warning. They made no sound. They simply appeared, as if they had always been there and humanity had just failed to notice. Do-hyun was 63 years old. He had served in 3 wars. He had seen death and destruction. He had given orders that ended lives and saved others. But nothing in his long career had prepared him for this moment. Aliens were real. They were here, and they wanted to talk. The United Nations building in New York became the meeting place. Leaders from every nation gathered, setting aside old conflicts in the face of this new reality. Do-hyun represented the newly formed United Earth Defense Coalition, a hasty alliance of military forces from around the globe. His job was simple: assess the threat, understand what humanity was facing. The alien ambassador called himself Velith. He was not like anything from human imagination. He had no solid body. Instead, he was made of shifting light and strange geometric shapes that hurt the eyes if you looked too long. His voice came from everywhere and nowhere, translated into perfect English by some technology beyond human understanding. "People of Earth," Velith said, his light pulsing with each word. "We are the Galactic Hegemony. We have watched your species for 300 of your years. We have seen your wars, your conflicts, your endless violence. You are a danger to yourselves. This is why we have come." The assembly hall was completely silent. Thousands of people, the most powerful humans on the planet, sat frozen in their seats. "The hegemony offers you protection," Velith continued. "You will join our collective of species. Your weapons will be destroyed. Your military forces will be disbanded. In exchange, no species in the galaxy will ever harm you. You will have access to technology beyond your dreams. You will trade with 1,000 worlds. You will be safe. This is our gift to you." Do-hyun felt his stomach turn cold. He had heard speeches like this before. Not from aliens, but from humans. From conquerors and emperors throughout history. The words were always the same. Surrender your weapons. Trust us to protect you. We know what is best. Secretary General Yoon Hana sat at the center of the assembly. She was a small woman with gray hair and calm eyes. Many people had made the mistake of thinking she was weak because she spoke softly and smiled often. Those people had learned their error painfully. Hana had survived decades of politics by being smarter and tougher than anyone expected. She raised her hand, and Velith's attention turned to her. "Ambassador Velith," she said, her voice steady. "We are honored by your visit. We have many questions." "Ask them," Velith replied. His tone suggested he was being generous by allowing questions at all. Hana nodded to Do-hyun. This was planned. They had only hours to prepare, but they had used every minute. While politicians panicked, Do-hyun and his team had been working. The alien ships had brought gifts as gestures of goodwill. One of those gifts was a data device containing information about the hegemony. The aliens probably expected humans to spend years trying to understand it. They were wrong. Dr. Kang In-ji, a physicist from the Seoul Advanced Research Institute, had cracked the device's basic encryption in 6 hours. What she found inside had changed everything. Do-hyun stood up. His uniform was crisp, his posture straight. He looked directly at the shifting lights that formed Velith's face. "Ambassador," he said, Your data device mentions 47 species that have been incorporated into the hegemony over the past 10,000 years. Is this correct? Veleth's light flickered. Perhaps surprise. Perhaps annoyance. You accessed the historical archives quickly. Yes, this is correct. Of those 47 species, 31 no longer exist as separate civilizations. They have been fully absorbed into the hegemony, losing their culture, their language, their identity. Is this correct? The silence in the hall grew heavier. Absorption is a natural process, Veleth said. Inferior cultures merge with superior ones. This is evolution. Dahan continued as if Veleth had not spoken. 12 more species have population numbers below what your own scientists consider sustainable. They are dying out. And 4 species are listed as culturally archived, which, according to your records, means they are extinct. Gone forever. Veleth's form expanded slightly, growing brighter. A threat display, perhaps. These species were unstable, dangerous. The hegemony had no choice but to take action for the greater good. The greater good, Dohyun repeated. He let the words hang in the air. Ambassador Veleth, you came here offering protection, safety from threats. But looking at your history, I have to ask a simple question. He paused, making sure every camera in the room was focused on him. This moment would be broadcast to every human on Earth. Who protects species from you? The assembly erupted. Shouts, gasps, and confused murmuring filled the hall. Veleth's light flared bright enough to make people shield their eyes. You misunderstand, Veleth said, his voice now carrying an edge of anger. The hegemony brings peace, order. Those who resist are enemies of peace. Hannah stood up, stepping forward to stand beside Dohyun. Her voice cut through the noise like a knife. We understand perfectly, Ambassador. You are not here to save us from danger. You are here to make us part of your collection. Another species to be absorbed, managed, and eventually archived when we become inconvenient. You are primitive, Veleth snapped. The pretense of benevolence was cracking. You cannot comprehend the complexities of galactic civilization. You need guidance. We have had guidance before, Hana replied. Throughout our history, empires have risen claiming to bring civilization to primitive peoples. They brought death instead, slavery, the destruction of cultures that had existed for thousands of years. We know this pattern, Ambassador. We have lived it many times. She stepped closer to the alien light, showing no fear. The difference is that we learned from it. We do not trust those who demand we surrender our weapons in exchange for promises of safety. We do not trust those who call us primitive while planning to erase our way of life. And we do not trust those who have a history of killing everyone who says no to them. Veleth's form contracted, becoming dense and dark. You have 6 months, Secretary General. 6 months to accept our terms. After that, the hegemony will be forced to treat Earth as a rogue world. And rogue worlds do not survive long in this galaxy. With that, the light vanished. The alien ambassador was gone, returning to his ship high above the city. The assembly sat in shocked silence for a long moment. Then Hannah turned to face them, and when she spoke, her voice carried the weight of human history. We have 6 months, she said. 6 months to prepare for a war we never asked for, against an enemy that has destroyed civilizations for 10,000 years. It will not be easy. Many will want to surrender, to accept their terms and hope for the best. I understand that fear. She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of leaders from every nation. But I know something the hegemony does not. I know what humans can do when our backs are against the wall. I know the courage and creativity that has carried our species through every disaster, every war, every impossible challenge. They think we are primitive. They think we are weak. They are about to learn how wrong they are. Dahan watched her speak and felt something he had not felt in years. Hope, not blind hope, but the determined hope of a soldier who sees the battle ahead and chooses to fight anyway. The galaxy had come to Earth with chains disguised as gifts. Humanity was about to show them what a mistake that was. The world changed overnight. News of the alien ultimatum spread across every screen, every phone, every radio. People reacted in different ways. Some panicked. Some prayed. Some took to the streets, demanding their government surrender immediately. Others marched in the opposite direction, calling for resistance at any cost. In the cities beneath the alien ships, life became strange and tense. The crystal vessels never moved, never made sound, but everyone could feel them watching. Children asked their parents if the sky people would hurt them. Parents had no answers. Governments that had been enemies for decades suddenly found themselves working together. Old grudges were set aside. There was no time for politics when extinction was on the table. The United Earth Defense Coalition became the single most powerful organization in human history within weeks. Every military force, every intelligence agency, every research facility reported to them now. Admiral Park Doyen worked 20-hour days. He slept in his office when he slept at all. His job was impossible. Prepare humanity to fight an enemy with technology thousands of years ahead of them. Every simulation his team ran ended the same way. Defeat. Destruction. The end of everything. But Doim had not survived 3 wars by accepting defeat. He looked at the problem from every angle, searching for something, anything, that could give humanity a chance. The answer came from an unexpected place. Dr. Kang Eunji was not a military scientist. She studied theoretical physics at a university in Seoul. Her work involved equations and mathematical models that most people could not begin to understand. She had never built a weapon in her life. The hegemony had given Earth several gifts as part of their diplomatic mission. Advanced medical devices, agricultural technology, and one small power core meant to demonstrate the superiority of hegemony science. They expected humans to study it for years, maybe decades, slowly learning how primitive their own technology was. Eung cracked its basic principles in 11 days. She stood in Dohin's office, a young woman with messy hair and dark circles under her eyes, holding a tablet filled with equations. "They made a mistake," she said, her voice quick with excitement. "They underestimated us. They thought we would look at this power core and be amazed, like children seeing fire for the first time. But Admiral, this technology is not magic. It follows rules, physical laws, different from what we knew, but not impossible to understand." Doyne leaned forward. "What are you telling me, Doctor?" "I am telling you that I can build better ones. Their power core is efficient, yes, but it is also old. They have been using the same basic design for centuries, maybe longer. They stopped improving because they stopped needing to. No one challenged them." She set her tablet on his desk, showing diagrams that meant nothing to him but clearly meant everything to her. "Give me resources. Give me a team. In 3 months, I can build you a power source twice as strong as theirs. And that is just the beginning." Dahin studied her face. She was young, probably not even 30, but her eyes held a fire he recognized. The fire of someone who had found their purpose. "What do you need?" Yoonji smiled. "Everything." Across the world, similar scenes played out. Scientists who had spent their careers on theoretical work suddenly found unlimited funding and resources. Engineers who designed commercial products were recruited into secret military projects. The best minds of every nation worked together, sharing knowledge freely for the first time in history. General Baek Jeon commanded Earth's orbital defense platforms. These were simple weapons by hegemony standards, designed to defend against asteroids and the theoretical threat of human conflict in space. Against alien warships, they would be useless, or so everyone thought. Jian was a practical woman. She had risen through the military ranks by solving problems that others called impossible. When her superiors told her the orbital platforms could not be upgraded in time, she disagreed. "We cannot match their weapons," she told her engineering team. "So we will not try. Instead, we will make them blind." She spread blueprints across the table. Their ships scan constantly. They watch everything we do. They know how many planes we have, how many missiles, how many soldiers. They think they know exactly what we are capable of. A young engineer named Cho Taiwu raised his hand. "How do we hide from sensors that advanced?" Jian smiled. "We do not hide. We lie." Her plan was elegant in its simplicity. Instead of building real weapons in secret, they would build fake ones in the open. Decoy facilities, false signals, ships made of cheap materials that looked real on sensors but were actually empty shells. The hegemony would see what Earth wanted them to see, a pathetic, desperate attempt to build a defense fleet. Meanwhile, the real fleet would be built underground, in deep tunnels beneath mountains, under the ocean floor, in abandoned mines and secret bunkers across every continent. Every nation contributed space, workers, and resources. The project had no official name. Workers simply called it the Hope. Secretary General Yoon Hana spent her days in diplomatic negotiations that everyone knew were meaningless. Ambassador Veleth returned regularly to discuss terms, his attitude growing more impatient with each meeting. He could not understand why these primitive creatures were wasting time, talking instead of accepting their fate. Hannah played her role perfectly. She asked endless questions. She requested clarifications. She raised concerns about implementation details. She dragged out every discussion for as long as possible, buying the scientists and engineers precious days and weeks in private. She was different, cold, focused, deadly serious. "We are buying time," she told Doyan during one late-night meeting. "But time is running out. What is our actual status?" Do-hyun pulled up reports on his screen. Dr. Kang's team has completed the first generation of improved power cores. They are 3 times more efficient than the hegemony models. General Beek's deception campaign is working. Alien scans show exactly what we want them to show. The real fleet is 60% complete. Will it be enough? Do-hyun was quiet for a moment. "I do not know. Honestly, probably not. They have ships that can crack planets. We have clever tricks and desperate courage, but I have seen wars won by soldiers who should have lost. I have seen small forces defeat great empires because they wanted victory more. The hegemony has forgotten what it means to fight for survival. They have been the biggest power in the galaxy for so long that they cannot imagine losing. That is their weakness." Hannah nodded slowly. "Overconfidence." "Exactly. They see us as primitives, insects to be stepped on. They are not prepared for insects that bite back." 4 months passed. The deadline grew closer. On the surface, Earth seemed to be falling apart. Riots in some cities, mass prayers in others. The alien ships watched it all, patient and silent. But beneath the surface, something remarkable was happening. Humans who had spent their lives competing against each other were now working together with a unity the hegemony could never have predicted. Scientists shared discoveries freely. Engineers solved problems collectively. Workers labored around the clock, knowing that their children's future depended on their efforts. Dr. Kang Yoonji made another breakthrough. While studying the power core, she discovered something hidden in its code. A vulnerability. A backdoor that the hegemony used to control and monitor their technology. They put this in everything. she explained to Do-hyun and Hana. Every device they have given us, every ship in their fleet. They never removed it because they never thought anyone would find it. Can you use it? Hana asked. Eunji's smile was sharp. I have already written the virus. When we are ready, I can shut down every system in their fleet with a single command. Do-hyun felt something he had not allowed himself to feel in months. Hope. Real hope. How long until the fleet is ready? 2 more months, Ji-yeon replied through the communication screen. Maybe less if we push hard. The deadline was 6 weeks away. They were going to cut it close. But for the first time, Do-hyun believed they might actually have a chance. Somewhere above Earth, the hegemony fleet waited, confident in their inevitable victory. They had no idea what was coming. 2 weeks before the deadline, Secretary General Yoon Hana requested a meeting aboard the hegemony flagship. Ambassador Veleth agreed immediately. He was certain the humans had finally accepted reality. They were coming to surrender. The shuttle that carried the human delegation was small and slow compared to hegemony vessels. It took nearly an hour to reach the massive crystalline ship floating in high orbit above Earth. Admiral Park Do-hyun sat beside Hana, watching their home planet shrink in the window behind them. Beautiful, is it not? Hana said quietly. Do-hyun nodded. I have seen Earth from space many times. It never stops being beautiful. That is why we fight. Hana turned away from the window. Not for land or power or pride. For that. For home. The shuttle docked with the alien vessel. The interior of the hegemony ship was strange and disorienting. The walls seemed to shift and change color as they walked. The floor felt solid, but looked like walking on light itself. Everything was designed to remind visitors how primitive they were compared to their hosts. Do-hyun refused to be impressed. He had seen enough of war to know that fancy decorations meant nothing when blood started spilling. Ambassador Veleth waited in a vast chamber at the heart of the ship. His form was brighter than usual, more complex. Behind him, several other hegemony officials floated, their shapes similar but smaller. A show of force. A reminder of power. Secretary General Hana, Admiral Do-hyun. Veleth's voice echoed through the chamber. I am pleased you have come. I trust you bring news of Earth's decision to accept our generous offer. Hana smiled politely. We have questions first, Ambassador. Important questions that will help us make our final decision. Veleth's light flickered with annoyance, but he controlled himself. Very well. Ask your questions. But quickly. My patience is not unlimited. Hana glanced at Do-hyun. He stepped forward, holding a small device that projected holographic images. Ambassador, your historical archives mention an event called the Valorian Resistance. Can you tell us about it? The chamber went very still. The hegemony officials behind Veleth shifted uncomfortably, their forms dimming slightly. That is ancient history, Veleth said. Not relevant to current discussions. I think it is very relevant. Do-hyun activated the projector. An image appeared in the air between them. A planet. Blue and green, not unlike Earth. The Valorian Compact was a species that lived on this world 3,000 years ago. According to your own records, they were advanced, peaceful, and creative. They contributed greatly to galactic science and art. He pressed a button. The image changed. The same planet, but now it was brown and dead. Craters covered its surface. No oceans. No life. They refused incorporation into the hegemony. They said no to your protection. So you killed them. Every single one. 7 billion intelligent beings erased from existence because they would not surrender. Veleth's form flared bright. They were a threat to galactic peace. They left us no choice. A threat? Do-hyun laughed, but there was no humor in it. They had no weapons capable of threatening anyone. They were scientists and artists. Their crime was independence. Their punishment was death. He showed more images, more dead worlds, more extinct species. The hegemony's long history of destruction, documented in their own records. The Dranathi refused incorporation, destroyed. The Vomori refused incorporation, destroyed. The Keth Collective refused incorporation, destroyed. Do-hyun listed name after name, world after world. 23 species that said no to you. 23 civilizations erased from history. And those are just the ones you admit to. Veleth's form contracted into something small and dense. His voice came out cold. You dare lecture us? You, whose species has spent its entire existence killing each other. Your history is nothing but war and violence. Yes, Hana said, stepping forward. Our history is bloody. We do not deny this. We have done terrible things to each other. Conquered, enslaved, destroyed. But we also learned from these mistakes. We created laws to protect the weak. We built institutions to prevent tyranny. We developed the idea that every being has rights that cannot be taken away, no matter how powerful their enemies. She met Veleth's gaze directly, showing no fear of the alien light. You have had 10,000 years of power. What did you learn? Nothing. You still solve problems by destroying anyone who disagrees with you. You still believe that might makes right. You are not more advanced than us, Ambassador. You are just older. And age without wisdom is nothing to be proud of. One of the officials behind Veleth moved forward. He was smaller than the ambassador, his light a different shade. You speak of wisdom. What wisdom is there in resisting the inevitable? Your planet will be incorporated one way or another. Accept peacefully and your people will live comfortably. Resist and you will share the fate of the Valorians. Do-hyun turned to face the new speaker. And that is exactly why we can never accept your terms. You are not offering protection. You are offering slavery with good food and comfortable beds. You want us to give up everything that makes us human in exchange for survival. But survival without freedom is not living. It is just existing. Pretty words, Veleth said. But words will not stop our weapons when the deadline passes. Maybe not. Hana smiled, and something in her expression made even Veleth pause. But we did not come here to convince you with words, Ambassador. We came here to tell you the truth. And the truth is this. You have made a terrible mistake. What mistake? You underestimated us. Do-hyun pulled out a small communicator. You thought we were primitives. You gave us technology as gifts, expecting us to take years figuring out basic principles. You showed us your ships, confident that we could never build anything to match them. You watched us through your sensors, believing you knew everything about our capabilities. You pressed a button on the communicator. Far below, on Earth, things began to happen. In secret facilities across the planet, massive doors opened. From underground bunkers and hidden tunnels, ships began to rise. Not the crude, desperate vessels the hegemony scanners had detected. Real ships. Thousands of them. Built with technology that matched and, in some cases, exceeded hegemony design. Alarms began sounding throughout the alien flagship. What is this? Veleth's form expanded rapidly, filling half the chamber. How is this possible? You gave us a power core, Do-hyun said calmly. A gift to demonstrate your superiority. Dr. Kang Yoonji, one of our scientists, took that gift apart and understood it in 11 days. She improved it in 20. And she found something else. A backdoor in your code. A vulnerability that exists in every piece of technology you have ever built. The lights in the chamber flickered. Across the hegemony fleet, systems began shutting down. Right now, Do-hyun continued, a virus is spreading through your network. Every ship, every weapon, every shield generator. In approximately 3 minutes, your entire fleet will be helpless. Veleth's light turned a color Doyun had never seen before. Fear, perhaps, or rage. This is impossible. You cannot have done this. That is the problem with being powerful for too long, Hana said. You forget that others can be clever. You forget that determination can overcome technology. You forget that the universe does not belong to you just because you have taken so much of it. She stepped closer to Veleth, and somehow, in that moment, she seemed larger than him. We are not asking for peace, Ambassador. We are not negotiating. We are telling you how this is going to end. Your fleet is going to leave our system. Your species is going to tell the rest of the galaxy what happened here today. And you are never, ever going to threaten Earth again. The flagship shuddered as its main systems went offline. The Dune looked out the window and saw the Earth fleet rising to meet the crippled hegemony vessels. Thousands of human ships, armed and ready. The impossible made real through courage, genius, and desperate determination. Veleth's form collapsed into something small and dim. The hegemony will not forget this insult, he said. But his voice was weak now, broken. Good, Hana replied. We are counting on it. She turned her back on him and walked toward the shuttle. Tell your leaders what you saw today. Tell every species in your empire. Tell them that the primitives of Earth refused to kneel. Tell them that we won. Dahyun followed her, leaving the defeated ambassador alone in his dying ship. The galaxy would never be the same. The hegemony fleet drifted helplessly in Earth's orbit. 47 warships, each capable of destroying cities with a single shot, now hung in space like dead fish floating in a pond. Their weapons were offline. Their shields had collapsed. Their engines sputtered and failed every time they tried to restart. Admiral Park Do-hyun stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, the flagship of Earth's new fleet. Around him, thousands of human vessels held position, their weapons trained on the crippled alien ships. One word from him, and the hegemony fleet would be reduced to scattered atoms. But that was not the plan. Admiral General Big Jiyan's voice came through the communication system. All enemy vessels are confirmed disabled. No weapon signatures detected. They are completely helpless. Casualties on our side? None. They never got a single shot off. Do-hyun allowed himself a small smile. Months of planning, sacrifice, and desperate work had led to this moment. They had done the impossible. They had beaten an enemy that had conquered the galaxy for 10,000 years. Secretary General Yoon Hana stood beside him, watching the view screen. The alien flagship hung in the center of the display, its beautiful crystalline structure now dark and powerless. What happens now? Jiyan asked. Hana answered. Now we send a message. Not just to the hegemony, to the entire galaxy. She pressed a button, opening a channel that would broadcast across all frequencies. The transmission would be picked up by every ship, every station, every world within reach. This is Secretary General Yoon Hana of United Earth. I am speaking to the Galactic Hegemony and to all species who live under their rule. She paused, letting the silence build. 6 months ago, the hegemony came to our world with an offer. They called it protection. They called it peace. But we looked at their history and saw the truth. 47 species absorbed. 31 civilizations destroyed. Entire cultures erased because they dared to say no. Her voice grew stronger. The hegemony told us we were primitive, weak. They said resistance was impossible. They gave us a deadline to surrender and promised destruction if we refused. She gestured at the view screen showing the disabled fleet. We refused. And today, their entire fleet floats helpless above our world. Not because we are stronger than them. Not because we have better weapons. But because we refused to accept that our fate was decided. We refuse to kneel. Across the galaxy, beings of 100 different species listened. On worlds that had lived under hegemony control for centuries, people stopped what they were doing to hear this message from a species they had never heard of. We are not conquerors, Hana continued. We do not want an empire. We do not want to rule anyone. We only want to live free, to make our own choices, to build our own future. And we believe that every species in this galaxy deserves the same right. She looked directly at the camera. To the hegemony, your fleet will be allowed to leave. We could destroy you, but we choose not to. We are not like you. We do not solve problems by killing everyone who disagrees with us. Go home. Tell your leaders what happened here. And understand that if you ever threaten Earth again, the result will be different. Then her voice softened. To every species listening under hegemony rule, we see you. We know what it is like to be told you are primitive, weak, inferior. We know what it is like to be threatened with destruction for wanting freedom. You are not alone anymore. She ended the transmission. For a long moment, the bridge was silent. Then the Doni spoke. Begin evacuation protocols for the enemy fleet. Get their crews off the ships and onto transport vessels. They can limp home on emergency power. Sir? A young officer looked surprised. We are letting them go? That was always the plan. Do-hyun turned to face his crew. Killing them would make us no better than them. And more importantly, dead crews cannot tell stories. We need the hegemony to know what happened here. We need their entire civilization to know that they lost. Not just lost, but were utterly humiliated by a species they called primitive. Jean's face appeared on a secondary screen. The propaganda value alone will be worth more than destroying their fleet. Every species in the galaxy will hear about this. Exactly. Hana nodded. Fear kept the hegemony's subjects in line for 10,000 years. Today, we showed them that the hegemony can be beaten. That fear will start to crack. Over the next several hours, thousands of hegemony crew members were transferred to transport ships. They were treated well, given food and medical care. Many of them had never experienced kindness from a species they considered inferior. The confusion in their eyes was almost funny. Ambassador Velith was the last to leave. He stood at the airlock of his transport, facing Hana and Do-hyun one final time. You have made powerful enemies today, he said. His light was dim, his voice weak. The hegemony will not forget. We are counting on it, Hana replied. Every time your leaders remember this day, they will have to admit that their perfect record of victory is broken. That a species they dismissed as primitive outsmarted them completely. That knowledge will eat at them forever. Velith's form flickered. You think you have won, but this is only the beginning. The hegemony has resources beyond your imagination. They will send more ships, more weapons. Let them come. Do-hyun stepped forward. We will be ready. And every time you attack us, the rest of the galaxy will see you for what you really are. Bullies, tyrants, destroyers of civilizations. How long do you think your empire will last when your subjects realize you can be beaten? Velith had no answer. He turned and entered the transport without another word. The human fleet watched as the hegemony survivors limped away, their damaged ships barely functional. It would take them months to reach home. Months during which the story of their defeat would spread across the galaxy. On Earth, celebrations erupted. People danced in the streets. Strangers hugged each other. For the first time in months, fear was replaced by joy. Humanity had faced extinction and won. But in the command centers, the mood was more serious. Dr. Kang Yoonji sat in her laboratory, already working on the next generation of technology. This is not over, she told Cho Tai-woo, her young assistant. The hegemony will come back, stronger, angrier. We need to be ready. How do we prepare for an entire galactic empire? Yoonji smiled. The same way we prepared for this, by being smarter, faster, and more determined than they expect. They think in terms of centuries. We think in terms of days. That is our advantage. General Beek Jian agreed. We won the first battle, but the war has just begun. The hegemony will not make the same mistakes again. They will study us, adapt to our tactics, find weaknesses we do not even know we have. Then we adapt faster, Dohyun said. We have done the impossible once. We will do it again as many times as necessary. Hana looked out the window at the earth below. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds drifting slowly across the surface. Home, the reason they had fought. The reason they would keep fighting. There is another possibility, she said quietly. The hegemony rules through fear. They maintain control because their subjects believe resistance is impossible. But today, we proved it is possible. What happens when the others realize this? Do-yoon understood. Rebellion. Not immediately. But the seed has been planted. The story will spread. Species who have lived under hegemony rule for centuries will start asking questions. If the humans could do it, why not us? If the hegemony can be beaten, why do we still serve them? She turned to face the others. We may have started something bigger than ourselves today. Something that will change the entire galaxy. We need to be ready for that too. The celebration on Earth continued. People did not know yet how much their world had changed, how many challenges still lay ahead. They only knew that they had won, that their planet was safe, that humanity would survive. It was enough for now. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, the people of Earth celebrated their victory against the stars. 5 years passed since the day humanity defeated the hegemony fleet. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The story spread faster than light itself. Ships carried recordings of Hana's broadcast to 1,000 worlds. Species who had lived under hegemony control for centuries watched in amazement as a primitive planet full of primitives humiliated the most powerful empire in known space. The impossible had become possible. Within the first year, 3 species demanded renegotiation of their incorporation terms. The hegemony, still reeling from their loss, agreed rather than risk open conflict. Within 3 years, 7 more species declared independence outright. The hegemony sent fleets to crush them, but the rebels had learned from Earth's example. They hid their true strength. They used deception and cleverness. They refused to fight fairly. The empire that had stood for 10,000 years began to crack. Ambassador Shin Yuna traveled farther than any human had ever traveled before. Her ship, the UES Hope, carried a crew of 50 and a mission that would change history. She was not a soldier or a scientist. She had been a professor of xenanthropology, someone who studied alien cultures from a distance. Now she met them face to face. Her first destination was the world of the Dravati. They had been a hegemony protectorate for 800 years. Their civilization was ancient and wise, but their spirit had been broken by centuries of submission. They had almost forgotten what freedom felt like. Elder Molthan met Yuna in a great hall carved from living crystal. He was old even by Dravati standards, his multifaceted eyes clouded with age, but still sharp with intelligence. "You are smaller than I expected," he said, studying her with curiosity. "The stories made your kind sound like giants." Yuna laughed. "We are just people, Elder. Small, fragile, short-lived. Nothing special about us physically. And yet you defeated the hegemony. We got lucky. And we worked very hard." Molthan made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Luck and hard work. That is not what our young ones say. They call humans warriors, heroes. They wear your symbols on their clothes and speak of Earth like it is a holy place." Yuna felt uncomfortable with that. We are not here to be worshipped, Elder. We are here to offer friendship, partnership, nothing more. What do you want from us? Nothing that you do not freely give. Yuna leaned forward. We want allies, friends, species who believe that freedom matters. The hegemony will come for us eventually with everything they have. When that day comes, we would like to not stand alone. And what do you offer in return? Technology, if you want it. Our scientists have made advances that might help you. Trade agreements. Cultural exchange. But mostly, we offer respect. The hegemony treated you like children who needed guidance. We will treat you like equals who have much to teach us. Moltham was silent for a long time. His eyes studied Yuna's face, looking for deception, for hidden motives. Our people have dreamed of rebellion for 300 years, he finally said. But we never had the courage. We convinced ourselves that the hegemony was too strong. The resistance was suicide. Then you came along, a species younger than some of our buildings. And you showed us that courage was possible. He stood slowly, his old joints creaking. You have given us something more valuable than any technology, Ambassador. You have given us hope. The Dravati accept your offer of friendship. Whatever comes next, we will face it together. Similar conversations happened across the galaxy. Yuna visited world after world, species after species. Some joined Earth's growing alliance immediately. Others needed time to overcome centuries of fear. A few refused entirely, too afraid of hegemony retaliation. But the movement grew. What started as a single planet's defiance became something much larger. The Free Alliance, they called themselves. A coalition of species who chose freedom over safety, dignity over comfort. Back on Earth, life had changed dramatically. The planet that had been isolated from the galaxy now stood at the center of a revolution. Ships from a dozen species docked at new orbital stations. Alien tourists walked the streets of human cities. Human travelers explored worlds their grandparents could never have imagined. Admiral Park Do-yoon retired from active service. He was 70 years old now, his hair completely white, his body slowed by age, but his mind still sharp. He spent his days in a small house overlooking the Pacific Ocean. The same ocean he had watched as a young man dreaming of adventures he never knew would come. General Baek Jeon visited him often. She had retired too, though she still consulted with the military on strategic matters. Today, they sat on his porch watching the waves while the sun set behind them. Do you ever wonder if we did the right thing? Do-hyun asked. Jeon considered the question. Which thing specifically? All of it. Defying the hegemony. Starting this movement. There have been wars, Jeon. Species have died fighting because we inspired them to resist. Yes, Jeon nodded slowly. And species are living free because we showed them it was possible. Children are growing up on worlds where they can think their own thoughts and dream their own dreams. Is that worth the cost? I cannot answer that for everyone. But for myself, yes. I believe it was worth it. Do-hyun was quiet for a while. Above them, lights moved across the darkening sky. Ships coming and going. Traffic from 100 worlds passing through human space. When I was young, he said, I thought strength meant weapons, power, the ability to destroy your enemies. I spent my career building military forces, preparing for wars, planning campaigns. That strength saved us. It did. But it was not enough. Do you know what really defeated the hegemony? Jeon shook her head. It was not our fleet or Dr. Kang's technology or our tactics. It was the fact that we believed we deserved to be free, that we refused to accept any other option. The hegemony had better weapons, more ships, thousands of years of experience. But they had forgotten why any of it mattered. They conquered because they could, not because they believed in anything. He turned to look at her. We believed. That is what made the difference. Not just in our victory, but in everything that came after. Every species that joins the Alliance, every world that declares independence, they do it because they believe too. We did not just give them technology or military support. We gave them faith that a better future was possible. In orbit high above, Secretary General Yoon Hana addressed the first meeting of the Free Alliance Council. Representatives from 37 species gathered in a station built through cooperation, a monument to what different peoples could achieve when they worked together. We did not ask for this role, Hana said. Humanity did not seek to lead a galactic revolution. We only wanted to survive, to protect our home, to live free. She looked around the chamber at faces of every shape and color. Some had eyes like pools of light. Some had no eyes at all. Some breathed air. Some breathed liquids or gases. Different in every possible way, yet united by a single idea. But when the hegemony threatened us, we discovered something important. We discovered that freedom is not just something we want for ourselves. It is something we want for everyone. And when we fought for our freedom, we gave hope to species who had forgotten what hope felt like. She paused, letting her words sink in. The hegemony will not give up easily. They have ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. They will fight to maintain their power, and many of us will suffer before this struggle ends. But I believe we will win. Not because we are stronger or smarter, but because we are fighting for something worth fighting for. She raised her hand in the gesture that had become the symbol of the Alliance. An open palm, fingers spread. Peace, but not surrender. Openness, but not weakness. Across the chamber, representatives raised their own hands in response. Different limbs, different shapes, but the same meaning. The hegemony promised Earth safety through submission. We asked them a simple question: safety from you? Today, we ask the same question to the entire galaxy. And today, together, we give the same answer. Our voice rose to fill the chamber. We will not submit. We will not be conquered. We will live free, or we will die trying. This is the message of humanity. This is the promise of the Free Alliance. And this is the future we will build together. Far across the galaxy, in the ancient halls of hegemony power, leaders watched the broadcast with growing fear. They had ruled unchallenged for 100 centuries. They had destroyed every threat, absorbed every rival, crushed every rebellion. But they had never faced anything like this. A movement built on an idea. A revolution spread through hope rather than force. A galaxy waking up to possibilities it had forgotten existed. The humans had started something that could not be stopped, and the galaxy would never be the same.